Hi, Zizaran here, and I wanted to make a quick video about how to target farm some currencies. Like, what if you specifically need that one currency? Like, for example, you really need Exalts. How do you get it? Are there anything we can do? And yeah, there is. So, first, obviously, like, I'll just be, like, going through a lot of them. Transmutes, you can sell unID'd blue items, but transmutes you're going to get enough of just by, like, picking up a raw transmute, so that's fine. Alterations, however, you are not going to get enough. So, to get a lot of alterations, what you want to do is you want to identify a lot of rare gear and vendor it. So for that reason, pretty much never, especially on SSF, do I ever like hide everything. I'll pick up breach rings, I'll pick up talismans, and I'll identify like quite a lot of stuff. Blight maps feel really good because I'll just like pick up a bunch of rings, bunch of amulets, vendor them, go back in, pick up a bunch more. And alterations are really expensive. Like they're sometimes down as low as 3 per chaos now. So generally picking up a lot of like 1 and 2 slot gear is always worth it. And whenever I'm leaving a map, like I've just killed the boss, even if I don't have a lot of rares on my filter, I'll hold Alt down, pick up and at least fill my inventory, and vendor an inventory full of ults, because that really adds up. For annulments, this is where Harbinger still comes into play. Having Diplomatic Escort will still give you a decent amount of annulments. They are actually fairly rare to drop, like an actual pure annulment orb. So if you're on SSF and you really need that, that is a very good reason to have the Diplomatic Escort. Chance Orbs, you do get Chance Orbs by selling 2 rares with the same name. However, that's not really sustainable. You will find a large amount of Chance Orbs just by picking them up. Now, there is a recipe for Exalted Orbs. It's the same recipe as Chance Orbs, Chaos Orbs, and Regal Orbs, and it's basically a full item set, but it needs to be influenced. So to get an Exalted Orb, you can actually vendor a full rare set of influence items of the same influence. I don't think you can mix and match. I don't think you can do like some Shaper and some Elder, but either way, I'm pretty sure it's the same influence. It might be that you can mix and match, but so that would be like if all of these were Shaper or if all of these were Elder, you would be able to sell them for 2 Exalted Shards, and if you're selling them unidentified, they would be 4. So this is what we call a full item set. It can be 2 one-handers, a one-hander and shield. It can be a bow. You don't actually need a bow and quiver, but then just boots, gloves, helmet, rings, amulet, belt, and a chest. So basically like a full armor set for your character. And when you vendor that, at low item level, you will get a Chance Orb, or 2 Chance Orbs if they're unidentified. And at item level 60 to 74, these will turn into 1 or 2 Chaos Orbs, depending on if it's unidentified or not. And 75 plus, there will be Regal Orbs. And then any item level, but obviously it needs to be item level 68 or higher, to be influenced. But if it's influenced, it will be the Exalted Shards. So this is really useful on softcore when the price of Exalted Orbs are really high, like over 180, something like that. Then it becomes pretty worth doing it, especially if it's a league where you do have access to a lot of influence stuff. It can also be good on solo self-on if you like you're really struggling with drops and you need to like multi-mod something, and then it can be really good. I generally don't do it on hardcore. I've actually never done the recipe myself, because the price of Exalted Orbs are generally so cheap that it's not worth the effort doing, and I can make more currency in different ways. But it's there, and it can be worth doing if you particularly want Exalts. Regal Orbs as well, obviously, the recipe that we just talked about. If it's item level 75, you'll get 1 or 2 Regal Orbs, so that is worth doing. Other than that, Regal Orbs are actually quite rare to drop, especially during the campaign. That can be like really painful early on. Maybe you want to like make sure that the item is rare so you can use the crafting bench on it, and you just don't have any early. So they are actually very rare to drop. Alchemies, honestly, for this, some leagues you'll have a large amount of alchemy dropped. Like you just won't have enough alchemies. This league is fixed out a little bit by adding bindings. You can use the Orb of Binding on maps, on pretty much anything. Just do make sure that you aren't watching Steel Mage's stream, trying to do like help him with a Harvest Craft, and to make the item mirror, if it's 6 link, don't use a binding on it, because it will break 5 and 6 link. So, you know, don't wreck people's items. Bindings help a large amount with the alchemy drop, but to get a large amount of alchemies, just pick up like all the unique items that you find per map. They sell for a lot of alchemy shards. Chaos Orbs, especially for Ultimatum League, you do get a large amount of chaos. I think I had 120 or 160 chaos on day 2. Without trading, and it was just from doing the league mechanic. It does drop a large amount because you'll sometimes, I had one ultimatum that gave me 16 chaos, and I was like, wow. Sometimes the league mechanic will just drop a large amount of chaos. You do get a large amount in delve as well, but other than that, chaos recipe can be really, really good. Blessed orbs, they're just painful, especially on SSF. They can be a real struggle. In Heist, I felt like I had an infinite amount of blessed orbs, so it does depend a little bit on what league we're in, but right now, very pain. I haven't bought any this league, but I've barely been self-sufficient. Divine orbs, there are actually several things we can do to get these, and do remember that a 6-thing will vendor for a divine, so never ever like vend or sell a 6-thing. Like maybe you find a trash 6-thing and you're like, oh, maybe somebody will pay 5C for it. The minimum price of a 6-thing is at least a divine orb. Always remember that. And there are several things you can do to get them as well. If you open a sacrifice fragment, it will open a Vaal side area. Farming these will drop corrupted items. So you actually have a pretty large chance that you'll find a 6-thing. So when you open these, and these can't have reflect. Maybe it'll bug one time and have reflect, but they're not supposed to be able to have reflect. And if you go into these, you'll see found items have a 14% chance to drop corrupted. That means that it'll be a decent chance that they will drop 6-thing. And even the ones you find while leveling, even though they won't have like found items have a chance to drop corrupted, they will still have the chest at the end, which every item is corrupted. And that means that there's a big chance for you to get a 6-thing from this chest. You also get the vanity cards for a corrupted tabula rasa, which can be pretty good. But that's a really, really good way to target farm divine orbs. There is another way. There's a couple of ways to get divine orbs. You have another prophecy called Vaal Winds, which will give corrupting tempest to the area. That'll make a red tempest. If you or the monster step in it, they'll get a buff where everything will drop corrupted. And again, big chance to get a lot of 6-things. The most I've had in one map like this is 20 plus. So especially with Magic Find, you can get a large amount of 6-things, which gives you a large amount of divines. Another thing to get divines, this is like one of the best things to target farm, is that if you talk to Alva and look at the temple, if you get the Tempest Generator to level 3, it's a 50-50 chance that you get either the Vaal Winds Prophecy or Radiating Tempest. And they've buffed these because they have an increased duration too, so you can actually farm every single mob with the Vaal Winds or with the Corrupting Tempest up. So you can get like easily 5 or 6 divines per temple with a level 3 Tempest Generator when it picks the red one. Now, jewelers and fusings, there are actually some really, really good things to get a large amount more of these. Remember that you can talk to a vendor and buy fusings. Just like the vendor will convert 4 jewelers to 1 fusing just by going to like any, I think it's Act 3 onwards, and then like Clarissa or whatever the currency vendor will let you do that. And remember, 6 socketed items sell for 7 jewelers. There is another thing you can roll, which goes all the way up to 0.6%, but its items found have a 0.6% chance to have the maximum number of sockets. I found that this was a really, really good way for solo self-on. Like, I would have 4 of these in a region. Lastly, I did it on Valdo's Rest because there was so many extra monsters in Diplomatic Escort. And when I had 4 of these, and that's a suffix, so you can be, that can be any watchstone can have that. And for me on solo self-on, that was a good way for me to farm anything from 3 to 700 fusings plus per day, depending on how long my days were. Like, it was a really, really good amount of fusings. I would some maps get like more than an inventory full of 6 sockets. So it really does make a difference. So if you are, sometimes when the fusing price is like close to like 1-to-1 C, then that can be a good option. Chromes, if an item is red, green, and blue linked, remember you can vendor it for a chrome. But other than that, just I find that I get enough crumbs just by picking them up. There is like a really, really like neat thing for chroming items. Say that I want 3 off color on these conjured boots. I like bringing this up a lot because a lot of people don't know about it. But if you are doing like this, you switch 2 socket to 3 socket. Every time that 3rd socket spawns, it is a 10% chance to be off color. So on like shields and weapons that have like 160 int, but you want 3 red on it, that's actually very, very easy. And even getting 4 off color like this is a lot cheaper than chrome. So I barely, like, I don't really use chromes that much. So there I got an easy 4 off color. The 4th one obviously being very lucky because that's a 10% chance when I spawned it there. And it could have been green as well. So it's a very, very nice way without using like multiple like hundreds chromes. You can just use like some fusing or some jewelers to get off color. So I like mentioning that a lot. Scours, I never feel like I have enough, and there's not really any like scour recipe that is worth doing. I think it's like selling a rare item with one stat or 2 stats will give you a scour. I think it's just 1 stat. They're a pain. Buy them, I guess. They're sad on SSF. There are some div cards that will give them as well. Vol Orbs, which I have elected to put down here so I don't Baylor Mage my items and Vol them while crafting them. Just safer to keep them down here. Vol Orbs, you do get like some side areas that will like guarantee drop Vol Orbs. And that's actually a pretty good, and there's so many div cards as well. Obviously, like Mirror, Conquer Exalt, stuff like that. Nothing that crazy you can do to target farm those. Harbingers and Horizons you can get by having Chimeria on, I believe it is, Transport? No, it's on Fortification. Chimeria on Fortification will give you a large amount of Harbingers / Horizons. And you do drop Horizons pretty regularly now as well. And most of the other currencies, there's not like a crazy thing you can do to target farm them. Silver coins you can roll on strong boxes, like you will get additional silver coins. But other than that, I just wanted to make like a video. It is slightly aimed at SSF because like you don't have the option to just buy it, lol. But yeah, just if you do want to target farm some currencies, that's it. Oh, actually, one thing to mention, chisels, you can, if you're for some reason really desperate, buy chisels of Zana, and they reset every time you do an Atlas mission. But they're not particularly worth it. Worth mentioning though. Either way, hope you guys are enjoying the videos and having fun in Ultimatum. And sub if you like the videos. But more importantly, try to die less than I do.